What is up, everybody? This is the Wild Nutrition Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Heskett, and this is episode 114. And today we're going to talk about realistic gym expectations. So this, I forgot. This is Coffee Talk Friday. So today's topic, obviously, it's January 12th. So there's going to be a lot of people who are either getting started at the gym. Maybe you've already started, you're thinking about starting, or you're kind of like me where you're kind of ramping back up and you got that spark of motivation. The holidays are gone. There's less in the way, less stuff to do week to week. So it's like, okay, now I can actually like double down. But we should have a conversation of one, how many days do you actually need to work out to get the results you want? What's realistic for you? And kind of break the myth that you have to work out as hard as possible for as many days as possible. Well, there is some truth to that, but it comes down to recovery, which we're not going to talk about at first. What we're going to do is talk about what you actually need to do to work out. Because a lot of people think you need to work out 5, 6, 7 days a week to see results, or it's not worth it, which just isn't true. So for the average person, for most results, you need to work out between 3 and 5 days per week. So everyone just probably heard 5 days per week. Oh, what I just said. That's not what I said. 3 to 5, which means 3, 4, or 5 days per week, depending on your schedule, to work out. If you're just starting out, or maybe you're busy, your schedule got super busy, and you're just trying to maintain 2 to 3 days a week is all you need to get results. So if you're new to the gym, all you need to do is 2 days per week. If you are trying to maintain your results, all you need to do is 2 days per week. 3's better, but that's all you need. So obviously this is not optimizing things. The downside of this, if you're like, oh sweet, only 2 days per week. So the one downside is it's very hard to form a habit just going 2 days per week, because 7 days, so 5 days out of the week, you're not going to the gym. So this needs to be paired with going for walks or other activity, not just going to the gym. But 2 days a week in the gym paired with walking and other stuff, great. So even if that's just like one other day or 2 other days out of the week, you just go for walks, that's fantastic. But 2 to 3 days a week when you're starting out, your recovery also when you're starting out is going to be not great, as anyone who's like started at the gym and then the next day, like you can't sit down, like your legs are so sore, your ability to recover is not great. So we don't want you to be in so much pain that you're like, oh, I don't even know how I'm going to get into like next week. I'm still sore. Like, okay, let's, go a little bit lighter. With maintenance. So the thing that came out in like 2020, this became huge because so many people thought, oh my God, I'm going to lose all my gains because I can't get to the gym or I can't lift super heavy. So what they found for maintaining, like your schedule's gotten busy, you can't get to the gym your normal 5 days per week. You only need to do 10% of the volume. When it comes to muscle, like retaining muscle mass and retaining strength, you only need to do 10% of the volume that it took to get there. So the way to look at volume. So volume is just like the total amount of work you did. So it is reps times weight times sets. So repetitions, let's say let's just keep it easy. You did 10 reps with 10 pounds. So 10 by 10 is going to be 100 pounds total. You did 3 sets of that. So that is 300 pounds of volume. So to maintain that, you will only need to do 10%, which is 30 pounds of volume, which is like, not much. It doesn't take much. So once your body builds a structure, it builds the pathways, it doesn't necessarily want to break it down because it takes more energy for you to actually like build muscle. Yes, if you don't use it, you'll lose it is true. But if your body actually sees like a need, then yeah, it's going to maintain those things. That's not to say like you hit a PR and then you take 3 months off, barely like just doing 2 days a week. It's not to say that you come back and you try to go for like another PR, like you're going to be able to. Like sometimes your nervous system down regulates a little bit, so it might take a few weeks to fully get back. but you're going to be much better off than if you didn't do anything. So that's the 2 to 3 days per week. When we're trying to maximize fat loss, building muscle, or anything else, we want to look at 3 to 5 days per week. The key here is maximizing fat loss, building muscle, building strength, those kind of things, somewhere in the 3 to 5 days per week. Again, with steps being in there, not really considered a workout, but getting your steps in. This is on top of your steps, 3 to 5 days per week to maximize fat loss, building muscle, building strength. The reason you're not seeing 6, 7 days per week, which you could do, or not 7, you're not seeing 3 to 6 days per week, is you need that time to recover. And for the average person, like this is typical people who work a 9 to 5, who might not get perfect sleep. Their nutrition might not be perfect. They like doing things that might go against their ability to maximize recovery. You need to be able to recover. And if you do a hard workout, so like it's an intense workout, you know you're going to be sore from it, or you know you're going to like really push yourself, it can take 72 hours to recover from that. A moderately intense workout, it's going to take about 48 hours. And then like a light workout, it only takes like 24 hours. But if you're working out 5 days per week and a couple of those are really intense, you're always in recovery mode. You're never like fully recovered because other than maybe Monday, from Friday to Monday, you're fully recovered. It's the 72 hours. As long as you're not like drinking and you're not like disrupting your sleep and your diet's on track, that's the only time your body's actually fully recovered before you do everything all over again. So throughout the week, you're always in recovery mode, which is okay. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But when people try to like, okay, can I get other days in? We need to look at your lifestyle and things to make sure that you can actually recover from those workouts. And when we do push 5 days per week, usually 2 are very intense workouts, and then the rest are going to be more moderate. You can't work out super, super intense for like an hour every single day of the week, especially while in fat loss. So when we're talking about maximizing fat loss, you might think work out more. Do 2 days. God, I would remember clients coming in the gym because they had like an unlimited class membership, and then they would do like, I'm going to come in the morning and the evening. And then they were wondering why they're not getting results. You need to be able to recover, or you're just going to be breaking your body down. And when we're in the fat loss phase, we're eating less calories, which means we have less building blocks for the body to be able to recover. You can still recover from your workouts, but the threshold for recovery is diminished. So if you do too much, like it's harder for your body to recover because you're eating less. So if you do too much, it's much easier to overtrain. It's much easier to get overuse injury like tendonitis during a fat loss phase. If your maintenance is 2,000 calories, you're eating 1,500 calories. Guess what? There's less building blocks. You're not at maintenance or even a surplus, which is why like during times when you're trying to build muscle or build strength, you can work out more, and you can work out more intensely because you're at maintenance or even a slight surplus where, again, if maintenance was 2,000 calories, just for simplicity, you might be at, to try to build muscle, 2,300, 2,500, or even 2,800 calories per day. Your body's going to have much more in the way of fuel and building blocks to be able to recover and maximize your results. So the average person, 3 to 5 days per week, that's all you need. Because, and this is where like I like to try to push 6 days a week, but with the sixth day being usually like more like hiking, less intense. So there's like an asterisk there for me, guys. We go into the next one. So next one is for maximizing competition or trying to get into peak physical condition for something. And this is going to be 4 to 6 days per week. Here we hit 6. So to be able to do 6 days per week, you need to make sure that your recovery, which is for the most of us, we're going to be talking about sleep, like making sure you're getting at least 7 hours of good quality sleep. 7 or 6 days a week, you need to be getting enough sleep. You need to have your diet dialed in. Training needs to be also dialed in to where you have days where volume and intensity is fluctuating over the course of like the month or the training period, whether it's 8, 12, 16, 24, whatever, however many weeks. You have your different phases like so like a strength phase, endurance phase, blah, blah, blah. Those type of things where you ramp up, peak, and then come back down. So for most people, working out in this way is not going to be realistic if you want to go and have a few drinks on the weekend with your friends. You're going to stay out kind of late. You have, like me, young kids where your sleep's really disrupted. You can do 5-6 days per week, but the asterisk, as I said earlier, is going to be those workouts are going to be very low intensity, more like, okay, we're going to go do yoga or mobility workouts or things that a lot of you probably aren't thinking like, oh, that's a workout. Like, okay, I'm going to rock, or I'm going to go for a hike, or I'm just going to go for a very long hour-long walk. Not intense, not with like, oh, I'm going to like try to get my heart rate up. No. When I'm saying walk, like you're just going out for like a walk for an hour. Yoga, mobility, things like that. And yes, I get that yoga can be intense, but this is more like recovery yoga. You can do that, especially if it helps you stay on track. Then the other thing that comes down to 6 days a week is it realistic with your schedule? And for some people, it's yes. And I've worked with clients who do 6 days per week. Again, all the things I talked about are on track and everything. Or we talk to them about decreasing intensity. So we've talked a little bit about recovery. For most people, somewhere in that 3 to 5 days per week, with getting your steps in every single day, and definitely the days you're not in the gym, for the most part, is going to be where you want to just like chill out at. That's where you want to be. And it comes down to your results happen through the recovery process, which takes time. For intense workouts, this is why you can't do hour-long HIIT workouts 5 days per week for a long period of time. Yes, maybe a few weeks in you can do it, and then all of a sudden it starts to like wear down your body. If you're doing hour-long HIIT workouts, it's going to take you 72 hours to recover from that, which means the next day you go and do the same thing, and that digs a hole. So you go and work out. When you leave the gym, or maybe you're working out at home like me, and you leave your garage or your workout space, you are leaving weaker than when you stepped in. You have dug a hole and your body has to build you back up, and builds back up first to baseline. This is where people get stuck like, I'm just not making progress. So there's something your body does called super compensation through the recovery process. And all this is you do something, your body makes you stronger. The compensation, you compensate. So you lift 20 pounds and your body's like, oh man, that was hard. What if in the future something is actually a little bit heavier than that? We should make ourselves stronger. Or maybe this is something we're going to see on a daily basis. We should start to make ourselves stronger so that's easier. So super compensation is, okay, we're going to return to baseline and then actually overshoot baseline strength and actually become a little bit stronger. Well, that's not going to happen till later on, which is why like a lot of times you'll see full body workouts being Monday, Wednesday, Friday with 2 days off on the weekend, repeat. So if you're doing 5 days a week of HIIT workouts, you're digging a hole. So you go in Monday, you dug that hole. Okay, so you recover. Maybe you're getting close to baseline. Then you go work out Tuesday. Well, you were close to baseline, but you weren't quite there. So then you're in an even bigger hole. And then you go in Wednesday and you're starting to notice like now you're really tired. And then you're like struggling on Thursday, but you're like, oh, it's Thursday tomorrow. It's like, it's the weekend. So I'm just exhausted, which I mean, that's the Thursday feels. I get it. Thursdays, funny enough, we're always the slowest day in the gym other than like the weekends for us. Cause when I was working, in the gym, because the weekends we had limited class times, but those class times were packed. So Thursday as a whole was always the slowest. And then Friday is, well, I'm tired because I'm like focused on like Friday, but you've dug yourself such a big hole, you that your body actually starts to break down. And yes, you get that recovery time over the weekend. You come in Monday feeling good, and maybe you actually started to super compensate and you started to maximize results, but you didn't fully recover, and rinse and repeat. But now you're digging a bigger hole. And your body's going to try to do its best until a point where you're so stressed out, because this is stressful in the body. So your body's also pumping out stress hormone. And this is why you need to have your sleep and your nutrition dialed in. And if you're not doing that on top of everything else, your body's not recovering at an efficient rate. Because the times I told you are the times when your nutrition and your sleep are dialed in, which means if you're not doing that, you're getting like 5 hours sleep and you're not really getting a good amount of protein. You're not really getting enough calories or anything or carbs. Then those recovery times all extend. So your body's like, we can't keep going. And so when you look at the stress curve, your body's going to fight, and then you crash, and then you burn out. And that's where people fall off. And the burnout looks like you either get mentally burnt out, you get hurt, and or you get sick. Because during this process, you're depressing your immune system the entire time. So this is why I'll say, like, don't work out intensely if you think you're getting sick, because you temporarily depress your immune system. Well, if you're working out intensely every single day, then guess what? You're going to depress your immune system every single day, and it's going to stay depressed, which opens you up for infection. While your muscles might recover, you're talking about, the recovery thing, getting hurt. Your joints and ligaments and tendons, they don't have as good of blood flow, so they take longer to recover. So if you're beating them up, all of a sudden that flares up. It always seems to be like, oh, I was making such great progress. It's like, yeah, but you're doing too much. And that's a sign you need to back off. Which we all get. So I'm not saying like, oh, you're a bad person if you get that. Like, we've all been there. I still there. And some people just get tendonitis and things with certain lifts. So for example, with me, I will get elbow tendonitis if I do barbell skull crushers. If that sounds scary, all it is laying down on a bench, you're doing a tricep extension. So it's called a skull crusher because you bring the bar to your forehead and then extend straight up, working the triceps. So imagine like set up for a bench press. That's the best example. Set up for a bench press, and then all you do is bend the elbows and the bar comes back towards your forehead. So if I use barbells, my elbow, all of a sudden, like after 2-3 weeks, I get elbow tendonitis. If I do it with dumbbells or kettlebells, I don't get elbow tendonitis. So also there's nuance here, not saying, but that's a common thing. Back injuries are common, but usually knees, elbows, shoulders, those things tend to be the first things, hips sometimes, to start to develop some tendonitis or inflammation of some sort. And then mental burnout, just like all of a sudden you're going, and then you're like tired, you're not motivated to go gym, you feel like you hit a wall, and that's another sign. And that sometimes happens just even with good training programs, and you need a deload week, which is just like backing off from the gym. So that's also like normal. I get it. I've had clients who get it. We do a deload week. They're back in the gym the next week, hitting it at 100%. Again, nuance. But as the person starting out, this is why we don't recommend HIIT workouts every freaking day of the week. Don't do that. You're not going to be able to recover. And then if you're like looking at, oh, well, this person in sports or David Goggins or the elite 1%, which isn't the average person. Like probably if you're listening to my podcast, sorry, but you're probably genetically more like the average. You're not the elite 1%. You're not going to the Olympics. You're not a professional athlete. Or you haven't discovered you are yet, which, this still applies to you. Remember that they've also spent years and years, decades building up. So what's intense for you isn't going to be intense for them. And what their body can handle is going to be different for you. So you're like, oh, David Goggins goes and does this run every single day. Is that run actually intense for him? Or is that like his body's built up and he's able to easily recover from that? Whereas for you, it would destroy you. Well, you can build up over time, but just realize like you can't just jump in and like, well, they do this, so I'm going to do the same thing because that will give me. No, you need to look back at what did they do when they were first starting out? What were those workouts more like? Okay, you have to build up to that. So don't follow like professional athlete programs, professional bodybuilder or physique athlete programs. While they might not be bad, a lot of them are terrible online. The other thing is you get a small snippet. So, and back in the day, I've written some of these programs for websites and stuff. When you do them, you write like a small snippet, a 1 week program, but you're not looking at the next 12 weeks and things can change over time. So what people do is they're like, this is how this person works out. This is what they do all the time. It's like, no, they might do that for 4 weeks. That's it. But you're like, okay, I'm going to do this for the next 16 weeks. And it might be too much. It might not be enough. It all depends. There's a lot of nuance there. So don't just like blindly follow programs, especially if it's like, here's a 1 week snippet or here's a one workout thing. Like this is their back day. It's their back day. No, it's going to change over time. So be wary of that. But what you can do is if you find programs that, and there's plenty of free programs out there. I think you can find like 531. If this is more for like you've been consistent in the gym and you're focusing more on strength, but 531 and some of the other programs, they're going to, build up over time. And obviously we have the program down below, which is designed a little bit more for beginners or someone who, wants to start getting really serious in the gym. That's going to be down below and you can download the free guide there. But you can find a bunch of stuff like our workout for free. And that's going to be multiple weeks, not just like, here's like 1 day, here's the chest workout. Like, great. Last thing is, should you do body part split, upper, lower, full body? So let's wrap this up. So personally, I hate total body workouts. I despise them. I don't find them fun. I prefer either body part split or upper, lower. Do what you enjoy. Most of the time, for most of my clients, I write total body. If you're going 3 days a week, total body. But even 3 days a week, if you prefer more like the bodybuilding split, you can do like push, pull, legs. That's a pretty good split. Body part splits, I don't think are great for beginners. One, you have to commit more days per week. And for the average person, I'm going to say doing 4 days, 3 to 4 days of resistance training is probably where you want to be at. You're going to be able to recover from that easily on like your worst weeks. So I like to do, say like right now I'm doing an upper, lower, legs, and then accessory day because a lot of times I just run out of time and then I'm not motivated to hit the thing. So it's like shoulders and arms on the accessory day, traps, some things like I may have run out of time. I just throw it onto that day. But you can do like 2 lower days, 2 upper days. That's kind of like the 5-3-1 split. It's like upper 1, lower 1, rest day, upper 2, lower 2, rest. And rest is like you do some cardio on those days. You can do the body part split of chest, back, legs. I don't like shoulder day and then an arm specific day. Shoulder day, shoulders aren't that big of a muscle group. You can a lot of times tie those into your chest and your back day. I would rather, and even arm day, like you can do it. I'd rather like tie shoulders and arms, or throw those into the other days and then do maybe other splits. Like adding it like, okay, well, I really want to bring up my back. And this is more advanced, which is why I don't recommend body part splits for beginners. Like a secondary chest day or something. And again, plenty of people got results with chest, back, shoulders, arms, legs. The problem with that is if you're trying to chase fat loss, you're like really destroying one muscle group. And shoulders aren't going to burn that many calories. They're kind of small muscle group. Arm day is not going to burn that many calories, even though like I think arm day is, if you do it properly, it's extremely painful because you're just targeting these like small muscles. And for me, it's just not fun. Leg day is like, you just expect it to be painful, but leg day, you burn a ton of calories versus arm day. Like you're not really burning that many calories. It's pretty like, it's better than nothing, but for fat loss, you'd be better off with a push-pull legs or upper lower split. Yes, you could do cardio on the back end, but at the end of the day, whatever keeps you consistent, whatever you enjoy the most is going to get you the best results. And then down the road, if you have a specific competition, for example, doing like a bodybuilding body part split, not going to be the best if you want to compete in powerlifting. Sorry, not. Or you want to do like a half marathon. I have a client right now training for a half marathon. We're doing full body workouts 2 days per week because the rest of the time she's running. So doing a body part split, not going to be realistic for her goal, but that's goal specific. So do whatever you enjoy first. And then if you actually down the road get like, hey, I really want to train for this, then we can start training for whatever that thing is. Anyways, I have a client call coming up, so I'm going to end it here. Hopefully this was informative to you. It helps you kind of figure out realistic gym expectations, how to kind of set things up, and breaks the myth that you have to work out 7 days a week, super intense. Don't do that. You need to be able to recover, figure out the schedule that's realistic for you and your lifestyle, and that you also enjoy doing.